Okay, this is the Board of Education meeting for April 11th, 2019 at Franklin Delano Roosevelt High School. Can I have a motion to enter into exec session to discuss matters pertaining to confidential personnel matters?
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? We're now in exec session. So, welcome to the Hyde Park Central School District Board of Education meeting, April 11th, 2019, here at Franklin Delano Roosevelt High School. Can I please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What do you want? Is this yours? No, it's the phone. I have it working.
Mine connects all.
Me? We got a little bit back. We're good. We're good.
We're good here. You just...
Okay, there is no agenda modifications. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Oops, sorry.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Look at this little.
So upcoming events, there will be no school Monday, April 15th through Monday, April 22nd for spring recess. School reopens on April 23rd, that's Tuesday. Also on Tuesday, April 23rd will be the Board of Education meeting at the district office. We'll do the BOCES budget vote. And April 24th, it's Wednesday, will be the Jazz Cabaret here at Franklin Delano Roosevelt High School. And on to Pride. Patrick?
Yeah. All right, so it's a short Pride this meeting. So last Friday was Mr. President. It was a really fun time. A lot of people came out to watch. Ryan Robertson was the winner. He crushed a watermelon between his legs, so I think he deserved it. The track and field team, they competed at the New Pulse Early Bird Invitational on Saturday. There were 20 teams from across New York. The men placed 7th overall, and the girls placed 5th. Girls lacrosse, they defeated Washingtonville on Monday, 13-3. So that was a pretty good game. For baseball, FDR beat New Paltz yesterday. The score was 11-2. They improved there on a 3-0 season, and they have a home game tomorrow against Warwick. And then at Netherwood, John Palucci, he's a local author. He visited the school yesterday to read his book, Saving Montana, and it's pretty cool. One of the students from Netherwood was part of his inspiration for writing the book, and there's some pictures on the website, so, and that's it.
Yeah. Any other Pride?
I'd just like to call attention that it is National Assistant Principals Week, and we have 2 of our assistant principals here, Mr. Cowan and Mr. Ruella at the middle school, and we have Mrs. Adoma and Mr. Faziola, so a moment to recognize you and appreciate you. Mr. Sullivan, the other assistant principal at the high school, had just had his 3rd child on Saturday, so he's not with us tonight. He's certainly in a place he is near and dear to his heart and really should be, so we miss Joe this evening.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. I know we have at least one librarian in here. Tracy's here. It is School Library Month and School Librarian Week, so thank you, Tracy.
Okay, Superintendent's report?
Nothing that is not already on the agenda.
Okay. So we move on to the high school presentation. Mr. Barty?
think I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this in here. Wow. It's impressive. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Rick Party. For those of you that do not know, I say it all the time, but I continue to be honored to represent the students and staff of FDR as the principal. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all this evening and to represent these great students and staff. Thank you to the board, our superintendent, deputy superintendent, and our district team that supports us in everything we do and supports FDR so well. We mentioned that this is Assistant Principals Week. I am blessed. I'm very pleased to have my two truly exceptional assistant principals here, Mr. Cowan and Mr. Ruella, and as we know, Mr. Sullivan, who can't be here with us this evening. The outstanding work that these gentlemen do on a daily basis frequently goes unnoticed, but it doesn't go unnoticed in the results of this school. It doesn't go unnoticed on my behalf, and I don't know what we could do without their outstanding performance. They are truly exceptional individuals, and they love our kids. Our awesome PTSA, they provided the food over there. They're a great group of people. They're here all the time. They support us in everything we do. And for me, to represent that group, I feel that I'm extremely lucky. We have a tremendous amount to celebrate this year, folks. Last year when I stood here, we had a lot to celebrate. This year, wow, these students have done phenomenal things. We have great artists to celebrate. Their beautiful artwork is around here. The success of our students academically. When you think of those sorts of things, we are truly fortunate. Our data. 4 consecutive years of 80 or better graduation rates. Prior to that, the graduation rate, I had a chance to meet with one of our students, and we're talking about where the school was and where the school is. 73%, 76%, and then 4 consider in the 4 years that we've been here working hard at this, these students, us as administrators, the support of the district, we've been able to elevate it and continue to stay at that level. If you notice the cohort 2013, that's 85% on 5 years. I think it's important to know that we don't leave our students when they don't graduate. We bring them back. We do what we can to get them over the hump. So I'm very excited to say that that class, although we were at 80%, we kept working with that group to get them to 85%. So as we keep working with these students, you see that continuing to grow. The last year that you see, 84. Remember, New York State's average graduation rate is 80%. So for us to be at 84 and continue to be above the average is remarkable from where the school was to where it is now. When you look at, let me come back, you look at the scores of math, they've been consistent and continue to remain above New York State across the board. The global scores, I want to call your attention to that. All students, 64%, 75% in our first year here, 80% now and 90% now. 16% increase in 4 years. We want to continue to grow every year, and that's always our goal, but the fact that we've been able to elevate that particular score, which most people struggle with in New York State, makes us very, very pleased to say that and point that part out. The average New York State global score for 17-18 was 73% for all students and 79% for Gen Ed students. So obviously ours is markedly above that. Why would you ask? How did we do that? We have excellent students, phenomenal students. They come and they work hard every day. Our teachers are exceptional and they're dedicated. The AVID curriculum, the strategies I'll talk more about later. Remember a long time ago, we came in here and we said we were going to write, and we were going to write, and we were going to write. And part of the reason is that global test requires a lot of writing. So we're writing, and that's paying off on a daily basis. Annotation, embedded test preparation, exit tickets. The kids are tired of doing exit tickets, but every day that informs our instruction and keeps us moving forward. Increased uses technology, and the ability that the folks that you've provided for us on one-to-one gives us the opportunity to look at and evaluate various pieces of art, political cartoons, those sorts of things that show up in all these exams, and then we're able to critically think about them as part of our 4 C's with our students in 10th grade so that they can achieve on that test as well. They're able to critically think. We all know critically thinking helps us all the way across the board. 2-year science. We talk about 2-year science, we talk about 2-year math because some of the students that attend FDR come in their first year and they don't take Regents math or Regent science right off the bat. Because of their IEP or because of a learning disability, we allow them to prepare and then take it the following year. So that's why we look at 2-year science and 2-year math. Again, when we look at science, New York State averages is 73 and 79%. We're above that, and we continue to grow and be above that. U.S. history, again, continuing to grow, continuing to move forward. I love to be able to see our data increase each year. And then again, ELA. When you compare us to the rest of the state, keep this in mind, ELA in New York State, 79% of all students last year passed the exam, 84% in general education. You see our numbers at 87 and 93. Again, going back to the core things that we work on a daily basis. Market improvement year after year. Academic supports. Supporting our students over a prolonged period of time isn't just supporting students that are struggling, it's supporting all students. It's pushing their mind thought. It's pushing their thoughts. It's pushing them to think outside the box. We don't want to sit with just a class. We want a class that's rigorous. If a student wants rigor at FDR, they have 18 AP classes that they can take. That pushes them. It gives them access to Marist College credits, SUNY Albany, you see that. But for us, anytime a student is engaged in a high-level college course, it's not about the score they get on the AP exam. It's about the exposure to college and career readiness. A student is better off being exposed to an AP course. In high school, all the studies show that. So we want to give them, and we appreciate year in and year out your folks' support at the board, giving us the opportunity to do those things. There's high schools that don't offer 18. There's a lot of them. We're very proud to be one of those that does. At-risk protocols. Most of the students in here aren't aware of the at-risk protocols. We have a ton of high achievers in this room right now. But every student that comes into FDR at the beginning of their freshman year is charted. Their success coming out of middle school. How many credits do they have coming out of middle school? How have they done in laws? How have they done, have they accumulated high school credit? Have they passed math, science, social studies, and English? Where are they at? The assistant principals work very hard at creating that list. And they're assigned a cohort. This year, Mr. Cowan has the 9th grade cohort and the 11th grade cohort, we know that, and Mr. Uella has the 10th and the 12th grade. They follow those students from the day they enter the high school till the day they exit. If it's 5 years, they're with them for 5 years. If it's 3 years and they graduate early, they're with them for 3. That's another option that we give our students heading out. AIS, Academic Intervention Services. We are the largest per capita provider of career and technical institute in Dutchess County. Because some students are going to go to college, we need to provide supports for all students. I love, my plumber loves when I pay him to work on my house. We want to make sure that our students have a tremendous opportunity to be productive individuals coming out of FDR. And it's very important that students have the opportunity to go in that path if they want. Students First is a support for students that aren't doing very well that we see coming up during the at-risk protocols. While we're monitoring their progress, we can put a kid in Students First after school help to get them to where they need to be. FDR critical thinking and writing, we started that 4 years ago. As I mentioned, our kids were resistant to it. Some parents were resistant to it. Some teachers were resistant to it. I get that. But on the flip side of it is our kids wrote, they read, they wrote, they practiced writing, they annotated, they thought deeply about the literature, and as a result, I think it's one of the single most important things towards raising our graduation rate and raising our Regents scores. Regents prep, it's wonderful that you folks give us the opportunity to do that. Each time our students take a Regents, they have the opportunity to retake a Regents, or they have an opportunity to prepare and do better. We offer Regents prep. That's an extra support for our students so that they can be as successful as they deserve to be. And then summer school, obviously targeted to our freshmen, because once a student gets behind in their freshman year, we need them to get that credit up, because freshman year is one of the most strongest predictors towards graduation. So we want to make sure that we take care of them, and we also take care of our seniors. Academic and programmatic initiatives. Let me come back to that. Four C's, AVID, well, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about it, but AVID, we use AVID as a structure within the building. We have the AVID elective, and all of our the AVID elective is for a small group of students, but AVID practices are embedded in our school. AVID school-wide is embedded in our program, and that is something that is reinforced, the reading and the writing, the critical thinking, all of collaboration. Those are all facets of AVID, and they're also, the key to AVID, and the thing I like the most about it is relationship, building relational capacity. When our teachers work at building relationships with our students want to be here. It's critical for a student to want to be in high school. There's so many program pieces that we put into place to make sure that students want to come, that they have pride in their school, that they want to be great. They hear me say it, but the more we say it, the more it gets into their head, subliminally. I don't mind. It makes them think and it gets them to where they need to be. The piece to that is that since 2014-15, 51 students dropped out in that year. There were more the year before. Currently, last year, we reduced that number significantly to 34 students. That's 34 kids. We want them all here. We want every kid to graduate. I'm not really pleased about 83, 84, 85%. I'd love to see 100%. That's our goal. But I know to get to 100, I have to get to 85, then 86. I can't lose students. This year, again, a marked decrease. We're only at 20 with 10 weeks to go. So our chances of lowering the dropout rate again is significant, and it's again significant to keep it even lower than we had it last year. I'd like to come back because I'm not hitting sources of strength, PBIS, and culturally responsive training. There's so many pieces to that. We put in place also the daily agenda. It's a big part of what we do. It's a big part of starting critical thinking. It's a big part of making a connection to New York State standards, which we need to do. And it's important for students to learn and figure out what their objective is for the lesson, and then for a teacher to come back at the end and ask if they've achieved the objective. You don't want to start something out and then finish it. So for a student to know what his objective is or her objective is and then get to the end of the lesson and decide whether or not they've attained it is pretty important. It's important for us to respect everybody that comes through this building and be responsive to that. Sources of strength. A few years ago, come on in. A few years ago, we recognized the need for us to be more welcoming and be more supportive and do more for our students, socially and emotionally. And the Sources of Strength program does that. We put a very large emphasis on that, and that's a way of us making sure, and it pays off on a daily basis when someone comes to one of our staff members and said, and it happened this week to Mr. Cowan and I, that a student came up and said, this individual student, they're struggling right now. We were able to reach out to that student, and reach out to that parent, and be able to make sure that they were safe and that they could take care of themselves. I don't think that we would have been able to do that if the student that reached out to us hadn't been trained in Sources of Strength and a leader in that program. It's a big part of it. Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is one of those programs that we recognize that currently engineering, mathematics is underrepresented with females, and this is a great program for us in the heart of IBM and the normal home of IBM for us to reach out and to reach all of our students. And students have an opportunity through Project Lead the Way to attain 4 RIT credits. That's an awesome opportunity. It's a great program, and it's a way for our students to be exposed to computer science. In the past year, Mr. Chakowski, one of our lead teachers, received Master Teacher certification and is an outstanding AP teacher in Project Lead the Way. PBIS is what we do to make sure that we support all of our students and build a positive culture in the building. Our PTSA, I talked about how great we were. We had the great fortune of having a discussion the other day that we had 50 more people in our PTSA than we did the year before, and that's more than we had the year before. So each year our PTSA has grown in membership. Each year our PTSA has more of an impact. It always has an impact, but it has more of an impact. And I'm very proud to say that we've increased every year that we've been here. It's kind of interesting to me that when I look up and I see things like music parents giving chairs, I see theater parents donating new lights, and I see Mr. Golden donating $257,000 for a new fitness center. We don't ask people for money. And I'm very proud of the fact that parents and community members are excited about FDR and that they want to give to FDR. And I think they want to do that because they see what these kids do on a daily basis. They see them represent this school and this community in a very, very fine way. We talk about giving to a cause greater than oneself. Almost everyone in this room does that. And they do it frequently, whether it's through a blood drive, whether it's through a giving tree, whether it's Mr. Cowan modeling for the students and creating a Sparrow's Nest at a Sparrow's Nest fundraiser here where 88 staff members gave to Sparrow's Nest and modeled that for our students. We all know the importance of Sparrow's Nest. Our kids step out and do a lot of great things, and I think that Mr. Golden talked about some of those things, and he talked about the impact, and we're very fortunate to have that. College Information Night supports our students. Chamber of Commerce is something the career fair, we added that last year, and it went very well. This year we added it, and it went much better. We asked the exhibitors, or actually the Chamber of Commerce asked the exhibitors how it went. This is the data. They asked them to rate their FDR career and job fair experience. 2% said fair, 13% said good, 85% said excellent. It's our goal to get those others. We need to get that 13 to excellent. Do you feel this was a worthwhile experience, they asked them. 100% of them said yes. Would you participate in this again? 100% of them said yes. The kids did a great job. They represented the school in a great job. Our community came in and they represented us and did an outstanding job. The sign over the door as they enter, the tradition of excellence begins and continues when you enter these doors. We think about what this class has achieved. There's a number of things that you're going to see in a moment that is just going to knock your socks off. But I want to go a little bit further. We've had a Sources of Strength and PBRS Staff and Spirit Day, class meetings, athletics, pep rallies, all those things have contributed. They've been opportunities for our students to get out and do things and display themselves. Again, I really want to come back to the Avid Showcase because I'm going to read you something about that. Charles Caleb Colton said, "Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery." This year, visits by Avid and PLT to date have hosted Arlington, Brewster, Beacon, Dover, Hudson Schools, Monticello, and Spackenkill. All those people have come to this high school to see what we do with our kids as a result of the efforts of what you do and what they do. That's the sincerest form of flattery, that imitation. This is what the Avid gentleman said, the Northeast regional person, when he came. "Too many great things were happening to enumerate in these notes. Everywhere we went, students were engaged in learning. Teachers were facilitating learning and not just delivering packages of information to students. You, meaning me, will not know this, but you are unlike many other places I visit, in that you wanted us in the hallway with your students." You would be surprised at the number of schools I visit where the school tries to hide us from their students or keep us out of the hallways during passing periods. You exposed us to be in the hall, or you expected us to be in the hall with kids. Your kids are so kind and orderly that it was second nature to you. It's because you have created a positive climate and culture in your building. Patrick Briggs, the Northeast Court Director of Avid, these kids are a special group. This is a great opportunity for us to recognize them. "33% of FDR's senior class," I'm sorry, that's a typo. It's 35% of FDR's senior class has a 4-year average of over 90. 35%. We started at 25 4 years ago, and we're at 33 now.
35.
35. It's a typo. Tito Maresca, Jason Mattel, and Leila Raines honored as National Merit Scholars Commended Students. We've never had 3. That's an outstanding recognition. Some of the finest students in the United States. Eden Palmer's artwork currently hangs in the United States Congress. She's the second one that we've had, but her artwork is beautiful and it's still there. FDR's second, Alexia Sanchez scored a perfect score. And then this past weekend, she was and she went to the Nationals and did a great job there, but recently she was All East. Nisma All-State, we've never had 3. We've never had 3. Kira Brainerd, Amelia McNamara, and Leila Raines. Once again, this community recognized as one of the finest music communities in the United States. It's saying something. Catherine Graham. We used to talk about being in the sections. Now we talk about winning it. Jesse, National Questbridge Scholar. Sarah Trainer, cross-country champion. There's just a lot to read.
I told you not.
Somebody said maybe let other people read it.
Yeah.
It's really outstanding. The best part of it is there's another page. That's a remarkable resume for a year. Our students have excelled, they've distinguished this community, and they've done so much in so little time, and yet they have more that they can do, they have more that they will do, and I look forward to seeing them do it. We're very, very proud of them. I appreciate the effort that our custodial staff who's moving around. They did a great job getting the building together. I appreciate all of you folks that came out. I appreciate what you folks do for us on a daily basis, because there's no doubt that we would have achieved any of this success without your support. I appreciate our parents. It's a great opportunity to have all of you here this evening and for us to host your lefty year. I'm proud to live in this community. I'm honored to be their principal. Thanks.
Any questions for Mr. Pardee?
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you very much for everything you do for us here at our schools. And I want to take out like a full-page ad in the paper and have those lists published for everybody to see, so all those people that say, you know, Hyde Park's no good, you know what I mean? They're not saying that anymore. You know, I mean, they're not saying that anymore. And I just want to publish this, and I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Also,
Thank you.
I was recently at a meeting, they were saying we need to change the concept, or the reputation of Hyde Park schools. And I'm really challenging them. I want them to listen to this, because it is changed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, and, yeah, another round. We're going to switch back in our agenda to our original Pride, a formal Pride recognition, only because the State Education Department just recently released some of their data, and just in case the Poughkeepsie Journal publishes it tomorrow, when they publish graduation rates, although they say FDR or Hyde Park Central School District, they publish the district graduation rate. Rick's report, Mr. Pardee's report on graduation rates are the graduation rates for the students who go to this school. When they look at the district's graduation rates, we have students in over 20 different, approximately 20 different various schools, or so all of those students get mixed in at the very end for the district graduation rate. So just in case it comes out tomorrow, it's a little lower because some of our students don't get to attend this wonderful school. If you go on the New York State website, there are two ways that you can look at our data. You can look up specifically each one of our schools, and specifically FDR, or you can look at the district data. Unfortunately, the Poughkeepsie Journal doesn't distinguish when they publish between district data and the actual high school data. So I wouldn't have even mentioned it, but they just released the data, which means Poughkeepsie Journal may be reporting on it soon. So if you want to double check, go to the State Ed website, look at the specific school, and then the district as a whole. So with that, we're going to move to some formal Pride. First, I'm going to ask Melinda DeMaio to come on up. We have some art scholars with us today.
So do you want to bring these students up, or do you want just come and wait to us? I'm not sure if it's... Okay. Jeff and I are here because we'd like the opportunity to shake your hand.
Okay.
This is we're very, very, very proud of our fine and performing arts, and we really wish to thank Melinda DeMaio, who is another person who has taken this district exponentially to a new level in the area of fine and performing arts.
Thank you. Honor and privilege. All right. These are scholastic winners. There's a scholastic national competition for art and writing, and we have a number of students who have won the highest honors, Silver Key and Gold Key winners. So Megan Odell is one of our winners.
Silver two. Jackie Hensley.
This is the practice for graduation.
Yes, it is. Eden Palmer. I have a second one for you, Eden, too. Gold and silver.
Eden got the gold and the silver.
Maria Hart. And a gold and a silver for Michael Cake. I saw Michael in the back.
It's your one opportunity if you wanted to get the cheap fruit.
You can stand up to do that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right, well, seriously, all of the high school administration, teachers, staff, parents, you also deserve, a ton of recognition and credit. We're here tonight to recognize the highest achieving students at FDR High School this year, known as the Top 20, a tradition that have been going on for quite a while, and these students will be with us at graduation. There's a potluck supper and quite a few other celebrations, so we really want to say congratulations to each of you, but we want to recognize you. We're going to call you up. You're going to shake a bunch of hands. Again, practice for graduation. Are the certificates in order?
Yes.
Oh, cool, great. Whew, help the management out. I'm going to single one person out, Amelia McNamara. I don't mean to embarrass you, but some of us know that there are traditions in our school district that last a long time. Amelia was my promising pen pal when she was in 5th grade, and I still have her letter. So, to watch students grow from small ones to walking across the stage at whatever level of accomplishment. So, I just had to point that out, Amelia. You knew I was going to do it. I won't do it at graduation. So, top 20, our valedictorian, Tito Maresca. Salutatorian, Luke Hart.
Greer, excuse me.
Oh,
They have certificates.
they have certificates too.
It would just mess up your whole order, that's all.
Okay. Tito. And Luke. Okay, well. Mia Colucci. Jason Mattel. Dino Garfola. Layla Rains. Jesse Yebaway. Congratulations. Mackenzie Squire. Grace Shannon. Trinity Young. Amelia McNamara. Leah Walbach. Brooke Vanakoy. Miller. Sarah Olson. Suzanne Moshewitz. Georgia Pritchard. Elise Mellison. John Zagorski. And Andrew Beck. Congratulations again. Thank you. Round of applause for all of them. Again, congratulations. We'll see you at awards night, at concerts, on the field, in the art rooms. We know that each of you are involved in the science rooms, in everything that you do. We see you all over the place. We've been watching you for years, and the next couple of months are going to be very exciting from here right up to graduation night. Congratulations. And as we tell people, now they can go home and do their homework. You don't need to stay. We usually do this before Mr. Party's presentation, so this was great. You can count this as community service, or...
I was just going to say, I was thinking towards their government class, maybe.
I thought so. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. See, you thought that they were here just for us, huh? No.
We all got it.
I know, right?
That's it? One more?
This is the last one.
Budget update. All right. Calms down. Looking to see if there's any coffee over in that refreshment table. I would I need the sugar. I just
Weird, isn't
That's another
how to clear a house.
It's all over.
That's a fun meeting, right?
That was it.
I can't even look at
So we're going to move on. Maybe we should have had the budget first. We had So at this time, we're going to go to the budget update from Linda. No wonder they leave me.
Yeah. It's a hard act to follow, Linda.
I guess so.
This is how we pay for it all.
All right, so good evening. Tonight's budget presentation is actually the last one before we ask the board to adopt the budget. On April 23rd, we'll present the same budget that we're presenting to you tonight, but that night we'll be asking you also to adopt the budget. So since the last time I presented, we've only had one change, and that's in the revenues. The state released their budget for next year, and we're getting about $113,000 more in state aid than the governor had proposed. So the change you'll see is a change in the revenue budget only. I increased the state aid by that amount and decreased what we were planning to appropriate from fund balance. So for 2019-20, our preliminary budget is $98.7 million. That's a $3.6 million increase over the current year, or 3.83%. We do have some budget items that are one-time only, and I'll talk about that a little later on. Our tax levy is $61.9 million, which is a $1.7 million increase, or 2.9%. We are compliant with the tax cap. Our tax cap, the maximum amount we can levy is the 2.9% increase. This slide shows the budget-to-budget increases in the different expenditure categories that we normally talk about during the budget presentations. As I said, the only change I made from the last presentation was in state aid, so there aren't any changes on this slide. Our revenues are $98.7 million. It's a $3.6 million increase, or 3.83%. The biggest change from the prior year is the transfer to other funds. Included in that amount is a $1,015,000 capital project for technology upgrades here at FDR. And that is a one-time expense. It won't appear in future years' budgets. Okay, so for our revenues, again, our budget has to balance, meaning the revenues have to match the expenses. So our preliminary budget for revenues is also $98.7 million, which is a $3.6 million increase from last year. Most of our revenues come from property taxes. Our property taxes for next year will be $61.9 million. Again, that's within the tax cap of 2.9%. Our second largest source of income is state aid. As I said before, we are receiving about $113,000 more than we originally expected, so I changed that number from the last presentation and decreased the amount of the fund balance appropriation. So the fund balance appropriation is the amount that we have to add to the budget to make it balance. Okay. The budget is comprised of three components, and we must present it to the public that way. So we have program, administrative, and capital costs. Program costs include regular and special education. There's co-curricular activities, athletics, and transportation. The administrative costs are central admin costs, finance, legal, the Human Resources Office, and Board of Education meeting expenses. And capital includes all facilities, operations, and maintenance, our debt service payments, and any cash capital projects that we would have in the budget. We have a BOCES capital project. Our payment for next year is $392,400. That budget was approved by the voters of Dutchess County in December of 2018. However, we have to include that in our admin cost. I was concerned that we might be over 10% of our admin costs because of the BOCES project. This year we're not, but when I do preliminary projections for the next 2 years, we'll definitely be over 10% in our admin costs because of the BOCES capital project.
BOCES, yeah.
So we added to the project to the budget a security project for door hardening. That's really just a project to make our doors more secure. It's a safety issue. The New York State will aid us up to will aid us at 64.7% of total cost for interior doors up to $1,000 or exterior doors up to $5,000. Some of the items that are aidable are replacing an entire door, or perhaps just replacing the hardware, meaning the locks. A lot of our doors have the locks that require a key, and the key, it's actually in the hallway, so a teacher couldn't lock the door from the inside. So we're looking to either replace an entire door that would have the locks on the inside, or just replace the lock itself. So there's a new handle with the lock on the inside. Some of the project will also include replacing the side lights. It's the doors that have the glass in them, to either put in films or anything that's a little more secure or bullet resistant. Because we can receive aid on it, we expect to get back $155,280 in aid. We would get all of that in the following year. So our total cost for the project for next year for a door hardening project is $84,720. That won't cover the entire district, though, so we'll keep adding this to the budget every year until we have the whole district completed. And we're working with the safety committees, or the district safety committee, to determine which areas we should do first. Okay, so here we have the capital outlay projects. These were included in the transfer to other funds in the on the expense slide. These are capital projects that we won't borrow for. We'll use cash to pay for them. We don't have to have a separate proposition for them because we're not borrowing, but we do have to tell the public that we plan to have these capital projects. All of our capital projects are aided at 64.7%. The first project here is for a bathroom project here at the high school. We did the lobby women's room last summer, and we want to do the men's room with this project, right out here in the lobby. We can spend up to $100,000 every year on a capital project and get all of the aid back in the following year. So if it does cost $100,000 to do that project, the bathroom project, the year after we complete the project, we will get $64,700 back from the state. The other project that we want to do is the FDR technology project. That's to upgrade the technology network here in the high school. We want to do it at the same time that we're doing the capital project for the pods and for the HVAC work, because we're going to have the ceilings open anyway, and that's where most of the wiring is for the network here. That aid is also at 64.7%, but we don't get it back all in 1 year, we get it back over 15 years. In total, for the two projects, we would get back $721,000 in aid. So for $1,115,000 worth of work, it would cost the district $394,000. All right. So I have a few slides showing the budgetary additions and savings. Nothing's changed from the last budget, but we're looking to add a technology integrator, a 0.4 FTE, which is full-time equivalent. With benefits, the cost would be $30,139. When I talk about benefits in relation to salaries, I'm referring to payroll taxes, which are Social Security and Medicare. We have the pension cost and workers' comp cost. For any salary that's a full-time salary, we also include health insurance. We're also looking to add a full-time security monitor at Haviland. The cost would be offset by eliminating 2 school monitors. The total cost is $31,342. A digital media coordinator for the district office, $3,675. We're changing the heating ventilation technician to a heating ventilation mechanic. This is basically a promotion for the person that's in that position now. The cost is $3,265. We're adding a JV wrestling coach to the budget for $4,098, and also a Makers and Steam Club advisor at Haviland for $3,336. We have more additions here. We talked about everything already on this slide. It's the technology project here at FDR for $1,015,000. The FDR lobby men's bathroom project, $100,000, and the district-wide security door hardening project for $240,000. So in total, we've added new items to the budget of $1.4 million. Like I said earlier, that technology project at FDR is a one-time project. We won't have that in future years' budgets, and that's over $1 million. And the items listed on this page are what we removed from the budget. We have 10 teachers retiring. We're not replacing all of them. In total, we're reducing the teaching staff by 3.5 full-time equivalents. Some will be from the teachers that are retiring, and there may be some that we have to reduce elsewhere. The total cost is $847,000, or the total savings, I'm sorry, is $847,900. We're reducing some professional services that we currently purchase through BOCES for about $60,000, and we're removing our trauma-informed practices. That's the program we refer to as Sanctuary, of $40,000 into a federal grant. So with the savings of $947,000, if we net that against what we've added to the budget, we're actually only adding the $483,000 to the budget. Okay. So we have a second proposition that will be up for vote. The second one is the school bus replacement plan, which also this year includes a snow scraper. We're looking to replace 9 buses and purchase a snow scraper for safety issues. I have a scary message.
Yeah.
I don't know how to... Yeah. I don't know how to fix that.
There's cartoons going on.
Where's the computer?
Hit the button.
Hit a button, quick.
That's just a keyboard, right?
The bell.
I hate that sound.
Well done.
The credit union,
Oh!
Just,
finally this last 6 months.
we have the presentation. We all have it, so just
Yeah.
keep it going.
I'll keep going,
Pretty
okay.
much close to the end. The bus proposition.
Yeah, the bus proposition, it's we're looking to replace 9 buses and purchase a snow scraper for safety reasons. The total cost is $753,000. We'll get aid of about $434,000, so the total cost will be $320,000. We have a third proposition this year. We have to, every 2 years, have the voters approve having a student board member. So they wouldn't be voting for the student board member, they're just voting to give us permission to have a student board member. All right. And I also have some information about the contingency budget. If the budget doesn't pass, we would have to make a choice. We have 3 choices. We could either put the same budget back up for a revote in June, we could change the budget and put that up for a revote, or the board could decide to go directly to a contingency budget. If we go to a contingency budget, we have to reduce our levy to at least the same amount as it is in the current year, but we would also have to take out everything that's considered non-contingent. So things that are non-contingent include equipment, all of those capital projects that we had planned, we wouldn't be able to have under a contingency budget. The non-instructional staff that aren't in a union wouldn't get any raises. We wouldn't be able to buy supplies for students, and we wouldn't be able to spend anything on non-essential maintenance. So even though our tax levy increase was at $1.7 million, that's not enough to get us down to our contingent level, because there's also an admin cap for the contingency budget. So if we go to contingency, we have to reduce our budget by over $3 million. So in the presentation, I have the detail of the calculation. That'll be on the website, and it'll also be part of the presentation for next time. So I don't have any other information, but because this is the last meeting before the board adopts the budget, I'm very interested to know if there's any questions that we can take care of now.
Linda, if we could go back to the budgetary savings. Now, we have 10 teachers retiring.
Right.
And it said total reduction, but we will not refill 3.5 positions because of the way we can reassign the teachers and the lower student count.
We're reducing the teaching staff by 3.5, and then it hasn't been determined yet if that can all be through the retirement.
All right, if I was looking at this outside of having seen it several times, I look at the 3.5 reduction, and then I look at the program reduction of $847,000, and I said, man, those are really highly paid 3.5 people going away. So that savings comprises more than the salaries and...
Yeah, it's the salaries and benefits, too.
Of the 3.5 to go in its entirety.
Right.
Plus the anticipation that the new arriving teachers to replace the other 7 are going to be coming in basically at a much lower step.
Yeah, when I do the budget, when I assume we have new teaching staff, I always assume master step 4, which someone could be hired. It depends on what their qualifications are, but that's what we use when we do the assumptions.
I just wanted that to be said, because some people would look at it and say, wow.
Yeah.
Good point.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Good budget. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Linda.
So at this time, can I have a motion to open public participation?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. If anybody would like to address the board, please go to the microphone and state your name. Bobby, you're raising your hand.
No, I was waiting. Too far to walk it.
Steve.
Rick, can you carry the microphone back to her?
Good evening, Steve Hughes, District Resident. I believe I heard Ms. Steinberg mention in passing that there's a cap on the administrative budget if you go into contingency.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what that cap is and how it's affected next year when the BOCES capital project is now in our administrative budget.
Good question.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
Would anybody else like to address the board? Seeing none, public participation is now closed, and it's Lindy, would you have an answer to that?
So, in a contingency budget, the admin portion has to be limited to the lower of the total percentage of the administrative budget in what we were proposing, and also what it was in the most recent past budget. But we can't include the capital projects, or the capital in that at all. So we're just looking at the percentage of the admin cost and the program cost together. So for 2019-20, our contingency budget admin amount is 10.5% when you consider, without considering the capital. So we would have to reduce administrative costs by $763,000 if we went to contingency. This is the first year since I've been the business official that we actually were over that threshold and had to lower it if we were in contingency. So, and you're right, we would, that number will probably be much higher in the next couple of years because we're paying more for BOCES project in 2020-21 and 2021-22. I haven't done the calculation, though.
So we can't not, I guess I want to clarify too. So if the BOCES cost is part of our admin portion of our budget, we can't say we're not going to pay the BOCES,
we have
right?
to pay BOCES. We're committed to paying BOCES.
So we would have to wipe out all the administrators so we could pay BOCES or something?
Yes,
I know.
we would have to find the savings elsewhere. Mhm.
Wow. There's not much,
Nice knowing you.
not many other places to go. Thanks.
Can you
Well, your
type
salary
that?
will cover the whole thing, right?
Thanks, Steve, that was a really good question. So, on to board subcommittee reports?
Well, the policy committee met and discussed the student handbook policies and something else. Now I can't remember which else. Help me out, Denise.
I'm sitting here trying to remember, we talked about so many things.
They're in the agenda, so.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't- And my computer's not working, so.
Oh, yeah.
Online?
Yes. Yes, you want to know what we talked about? Hold on. Where are we? Policies.
The mine's the first thing to go.
What number are the policies listed on? Does somebody, can somebody?
11.3.
Thank you. Okay. We talked about homebound instruction, student withdrawal from schools, compulsory attendance ages, and what did I miss? I think those are the ones that were up for consideration.
And I can give a summary of those two, since I was there for them both.
If you could.
Yeah, so the changes in homebound instruction and regulation really are to align it with our current practice. The language was old language. It spoke to attendance cards, where we just have a much more streamlined process that's handled in the guidance office. So we just updated it to current practice. And the compulsory attendance ages, we just aligned the language so that it was legal. So it's the year that a student turns 16, they need to finish that year. And our policies were unclear about that until the student would be allowed to withdraw. So we just corrected that language.
We've been working to align our policies with, to make them all standard, right, and to bring them all up to date. So this is just our latest effort.
I can also report the Dutchess County School Board Association had their monthly meeting last week, and all of the school districts in attendance just basically reported on their budget process. And I would say that we're probably in the mix. You know, everybody had very similar. I think it hasn't been the most painful budget season, but yet there's been some challenges, and everybody seems to be going forward. I'm not aware of anyone who's planning on exceeding the tax cap, but everyone is running, for the most part, taking it right up to the cap this year. And while I've got the opportunity, I will say that all are welcome the next meeting, which is on May 2nd, first Thursday of the month, over at the BOCES Center. We're going to have a special presentation by representation from the New York State School Facilities Association is coming in to talk about what the association does and its membership, and basically every public school in New York State has a member, typically the director of facilities and support staff, and just some of the services that the association can offer to school boards and districts to help evaluate their operations. So.
So I know the SAVE Committee met. Viva, do you have anything? Were they pleased with the door hardening?
Yeah, and they made some really good suggestions for prioritizing, and then I met with the administrators, and they really supported the recommendations.
So they are giving a priority, or helping?
They helped us prioritize. I don't want to say who's going to have more secure doors
No, I
in
know.
the district for obvious reasons, but yeah, there was a total agreement about that, which made sense.
Any other reports? Okay, we'll move on. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention, since Ms. Atkins was the counselor for all four of my children, that's a long period of time, thank her for her service, because I don't know what we're going to do without her. Actually, it's going to be quite a different look in guidance, with the three all retiring. So, but anyway, I just thought I had to say something, because
They were interviewing
she's one
as
of
we
my
speak.
favorites. So.
She was Massachusetts counselor of the Dutchess County Council.
Yes, she was.
And we also have Felicia Olson, who has been with us for, I want to say 27.
33 years.
33. Wow.
I'm standing up.
And we're not ready for you to leave.
Right, you're my daughter's teacher.
No, it's a very sad year for retirements, but we certainly wish all of them, and especially you, because you're here while we're talking about it, the very best. 33 years of exceptional service to our children.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 11.1, special education placements?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I've reviewed the pack and recommend its adoption.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 11.2, bid award, PE, health, and athletic supplies?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Can I have a motion for first consideration of policy updates? 11.3.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, could I have a motion for second public participation?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, this is your second time. If you would like to come and address the board, please do so. Seeing no response, public participation is now closed. There is no other matters deemed necessary by the board. There's no need for a second executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. We're now adjourned.